I define success by the happiness that I feel, by the fulfillment that I live in my life from day to day. There's a connection with your audience, but then there's also a connection with the business sector, if you will. So that's how I connected with Pablo. That's how I connected with you.
In order to get bigger, we have to get smaller, right? Niche down on your best skills and what is working.
How could someone reach the mass amount of first-time home buyers possible? So obviously, the more touches, the better. So how do you like mass produce and go ham on that?
All right, so I'm at a event last year. Our buddy Nestor threw an event, and one of the speakers, I forgot who it was exactly, but he brought up this phrase of momentum maker versus a momentum breaker, and it's something that has literally just stuck with me. I want to share it with you guys. A momentum maker is somebody that's constantly talking about vision. What does the future of our company look like? Where are we going? You're someone that's casting the vision. You're the driver of your business or your organization or your brand. And a momentum breaker, I'm sure we all know somebody that says, you know, I was an all-star quarterback in high school. I was all-state, you know, I won a championship. And every time you see them, I'm in the sauna the other day, and that's all the people want to talk about is their high school glory days.
The El Bundys of the world.
Yeah, and they're constantly just talking about the past. And that's completely breaking momentum. And an example, an analogy that I just want to open up with, because I think this is one of my favorite things to talk about, is like, we were talking about the rocket ship in one of our other segments, our other episode, and we were talking about like the beginning of launching your brand or your business or getting into a new career. When you see a rocket ship take off, did you guys know that 80 to 90% of its fuel is actually used before it even launches, in the beginning stages of it taking off? That's why you see all of the fuel, the fire coming out, the smoke blowing out. And then finally, when it gets into orbit, it's not really even using fuel. That momentum making is letting go. In the beginning of you starting a career, or maybe you're in your career right now, you're in year 3, 4, or 5 of your career or your business. You're probably at that stage right now where you're burning a bunch of fuel. You're a momentum maker, right? A tool, there's so many different tools now with AI, with CRM, social media, podcasts, events. Like, there's so many different marketing campaigns. Even if you want to do door knocking, right? There's so many ways that you could really truly scale your business. This segment's really going to be about like, how can I scale my business? What are tools and frameworks that I could really implement? And I think that this is one that if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to want to take a listen to it. We have Andrew back here on the Educate and Elevate podcast.
Welcome back, Andrew. Welcome back.
Welcome back, bro.
Happy to be back.
I know a lot of people have been asking, like, obviously the biggest things are like how to scale business, how to take the next level, because like Paulo was saying, right, we're the rocket ship. Many times you're a one-man mission. You're a one-man show in the beginning. You got no employees. But how do you go from 1 to 5 employees? Maybe just 1, 2 employees that you need? Or maybe we just need a good system that could teach us how to replace employees in general, and then how to work smarter, not harder.
So I'm glad you guys actually have me back, because if you notice, when you ask me questions, I don't necessarily give the exact answer you're looking for. That's because I want to provide context, okay? So I'm going to answer your question because we're talking about tools. We're talking about how do we scale. And I've had the opportunity to work with hundreds of business people in the corporate world and entrepreneurs. And I'm going to talk about something that nobody really talks about. And everybody wants tools. Right? Everybody wants the next best thing. Right now it's AI, right? Last week it was something else. But I want to step back and I want to tell you what's the most important tool in your business. And that's you. Okay? And what I mean by that is you have entrepreneurs that are watching this podcast, obviously. How many entrepreneurs, how many business people do you know that are tired and burned out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How many are out of shape? How many drink or do drugs or, you know, to get away from the woes of the busyness of business, right? And so before you think about scaling a business, before you think about changing anything, before you think about implementing tools, what I would encourage everybody to do, and this is where I'm different than most people, because they want to talk about money. And I want to talk about meaning, you know, is you got to take care of this tool. And what that means is get your foundation solid. So get your mind right, get your health right, get your family right, get your faith right. right? So like I have these pillars that I drew on a board years ago, and it was like, these 4 things always come up. And it's like family, faith, finance, and fitness, right? And you know me from my OCD-ish. I always gotta, but those are the tools that you need to focus on first. And the first one is probably faith, right? Like your relationship with your intuition with God, with your wife or your significant other and your family. Because if you don't have those things, what difference does it make what happens in business, right? And not only that, how do we equate, what you're really asking is how do we get to this place of success? Well, how do you define that? Because I was successful in corporate, but I was miserable. So I define success by the happiness that I feel, by the fulfillment that I live in my life from day to day. So I want to scale towards more happiness. I want to scale towards more fulfillment. And I know you're asking about money, but I got to give you this precursor first because that's what's important.
Well, that's good. I mean, I oftentimes, I mean, like you said, right? Let's pretend you're unhappy and your wife is unhappy with you. Your faith is wrong. Everything's just messed up. You make more money. You just amplify that problem even bigger. So I think many times it's about getting the foundation correct. So when you do amplify, you're amplifying at a correct state of mind.
It's kind of like if you know a jerk and then he gets drunk, he's just jerkier, right?
Yeah.
That's the same thing with money.
Right.
That's the same thing with money. So I appreciate you allowing me to interject that piece there because it's so important in this world to take care of you first. This morning, first thing I did when I get up, I did my box breathing, I did my journaling, I did my exercise, I did my reading well before the sun came up so that I'm ready now to take on the life and answer the questions that you want me to answer is what systems do we put in place, right? So first thing I would say is in order to get big, you got to get small, right? So if you think about an atom is like the smallest element in the entire existence of life, right? It's like the smallest thing, but it's powerful enough to create an atomic explosion, right? So if we use that analogy, say, okay, what is it that I need to kind of condense right now? Because when it comes to the world of tools, I would bet that 95% of entrepreneurs and people in business, they're investing in shiny objects that don't necessarily serve their business. Right? And it's like, oh, AI, oh, this, oh, that, oh, this. And then you find it's like, well, it really didn't do anything but cost me more money. So why don't you kind of condense and look at your business from a holistic perspective and say, what are the things that are most effective, that are making me the most ground, the most money in my business? Who are the people that are my best producers, right? For you have a brokerage. Who are my best producers and pour into them? It's not about getting to 3,000. It's about getting to 300. And even before you get to 300, it's about getting to the 30. Because I think it was the Pareto principle, right? They talk about the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, where 20% of the people make 80% of the work. Yeah. So
first, focus on your 20.
It's always
and then grow, and then focus on those 20 again. And then the other people weed themselves out. That's how you really scale from a business perspective.
Quality over quantity.
I sit down with clients. As a matter of fact, last week I had a sit down with a company who's pouring all kinds of money into advertising and new campaigns. And they said, we want you to help us. And I said, okay, so let me ask one simple question. What's your best source of business? And they said, well, it's referrals. And I said, okay, so
focus on referrals.
What's your referral campaign? So, well, we don't have one. So your best source of business is referrals. And you don't have a campaign to ask for referrals, but you want to go spend tens of thousands of dollars acquiring new business.
Focus on what works.
So to scale, get smaller, unscale.
And that's something I really just want to highlight on because it's so important. We were having the conversation the other day, right? Is that so many times as entrepreneurs, like, what do we see? Like, in order to get better, I love what you said right now. In order to get bigger, we have to get smaller, right? Niche down on your best skills and what is working, right? I'll refer back. We were talking about this the other day at lunch, right? Judges 6 in the Bible, the story of Gideon, right? Where, Gideon was able to bring his army of 300 and defeat an army of 135,000, right? So many times we think we need all of these things, but in reality, less is more. Right? Less is more in your business. I think that's something that's so important.
In the marketing world, Hormozi, right, talks about the core 4. So for you, bro, what would you say is most likely, most entrepreneur? I know every entrepreneur is different, but every entrepreneur, what do you feel like they need to focus on the most? Is it their highest lead source, or is it more what's making them the most money? Because there's obviously quantitative leads, but there's also the quality of leads that you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you suggest to the entrepreneur who's probably listening? Like, I get business from here. What would you say focus on, and how do you double down on that niche though?
So it kind of goes back to what Pablo was saying about first niche down. Like a lot of people, they want to serve everybody, and if you serve everybody, you really serve nobody, right? It's like if you found out that you had brain cancer, God forbid, and you had two doctors to choose from, a general practitioner or a brain surgeon, who would you choose? The brain surgeon. Same thing is in business. So the one thing is get clear. Like this is like you want to hear a framework. It's clarity is first, right? Clarity, connection, and then conversion. Those are my three things, right? So the first thing is you got to get clear. What do you do? What are you best at, right? And how do you do that? Okay, so like what's your offer, and then who do you do it for? Okay, it's like, oh yeah, I do this for everybody. Well, then I do it for nobody. Okay, so the first thing is clarity. That would be for me. Mm-hmm. To answer your question,
yeah, that's good.
The most important thing that an entrepreneur can do is get clear on their mission, their purpose, their goal, their offer, their client. Clarity is the most important thing first.
Yep.
Okay. And then the second one you said was
connection. There's connection.
Connect with your person.
So now that I know,
how are you now connecting with them?
Yeah, I know who they are.
Yeah, you know who they are.
Now it's clear.
Now I'm an entrepreneur. I know exactly who I'm going after. How can I connect with them better?
Absolutely.
More consistently.
And not only that, so in going back to COVID, I was clear that I was going to be working with mostly stay-at-home moms who were homeschooling, and I spoke their language. So that I was clear on that. I was clear on my offer, so I knew what I was going to do. And then when it came to the connection, I knew how I had to relate to them. So my stories that I told them as part of our journey became catered towards a relationship where we could build trust, so they could know who they're dealing with. So I told them, yeah, I'm the father of 5 daughters, and I have 3 sisters, and I had a female dog, and sometimes I lactate, and I make stupid jokes, and because a man teaching all women, they kind of get their barriers up. So then that allows you to make that connection. Once I have clarity, and I go, okay, now I know how I'm going to be able to talk to these people, relate to these people, interact with these people. I know what stories I'm going to tell. I have a bag of years of things that I could just pull from and go, yeah, this is going to relate with them, right? Not only that, there's a connection with your audience, but then there's also a connection with the business sector, if you will, right? So that's how I connected with Pablo. That's how I connected with you. You start connecting with people in the industry, right? People who have either your client or people that you can serve or people that you can help. And now, because you've gotten small, understanding the clarity of things, you've stepped back and know what you do and how you do it. When you come and present yourself to people, then they understand, oh, this person is a good part of my network. And then you start building the network. That's where the connection is twofold. It's your client, but also the people in the business that you work with. You guys say it beautifully. It's not competition, it's
collaboration.
It's not competition, it's that's the mindset that you have to go forth with.
Go ahead. I was just going to highlight real quick relationship equity, the importance. That's when relationship equity happens on the second part of connection. Mm-hmm. But go ahead, Pablo.
No, I was going to say, 100%. I mean, I think we do trainings from time to time, right? Like another guest that we've had before on the podcast has been Francisco, right? Like he talks about the art of human connection and connecting with you, like genuinely connecting and caring about your audience. I think that was a big one. That's all I was going to plug in.
The third C then is...
So the third C is kind of like conversion, right? I mean, we're talking about business here.
Right.
So clarity, know what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, your offer, whatever. Then connection, connect with your people, connect with the community, make sure that they value you, trust you, know you, like you, trust you, right? And then the last piece is the conversion piece, right? And for me, conversion is nothing more than a transaction. And a transaction is nothing more than serving a client, right? I have value and you have value. Like we come together to meet. And it's like, I have this value. Are you willing to invest to solve the problem that you have? And that's what I call conversion. But the way that I do conversion is by client success. Of course, it would be another C, wouldn't it be? Right? So that's why if we go back to the children's book thing, I try to give them a win before they ever do business with me. So the conversion happens. They go, man, if you taught me how to write a book, Andrew, I can only imagine what you could teach me to do if you help me publish it or whatever. So the same thing happens in business.
Normal sales too is like you get someone to buy a chocolate, they get used to buying with you a little bit. It's increase the offer until the last thing you know, they're buying shows at VIP at your event.
Right. So
it's like,
so check this out. Bro, okay, so that's a perfect example. Okay, writing a children's book. I brought people in on a free 5-day challenge. 5 hours, spend 5 hours with me. I'm gonna show you how to write a book. It was free. Then we know that we had a publishing package. And I said, okay, I'm gonna make it simple for everybody. We're gonna make it $497. 6-week program with coaching, blah, blah, blah. Then after that, I knew that there was the next step. So from $497, right, we went to $1497 for people who wanted one-on-one group coach. Well, it was kind of like one-on-one group coaching style. Anyways, then when they started asking me for the next step, what I didn't realize was people actually wanted me to do the work for them. So I didn't see this problem. Oh, sorry. I didn't see this problem. They said, Andrew, can't you just do all the work for us? So I went out and I leveraged, we like leveraging things. I leveraged some partners and we started offering a $5,000 done for you production package that people took us on. And then the next level was the marketing aspect of it. It's like, well, if I could show you how to make $10,000 in the next 30 days, would you be willing to invest $7,500? So we went from free, and you call it that, whatever, profit pyramid or whatever you want to call it. And that's how you end up scaling. But it all starts by giving them something of value first before they ever make the investment in you. You make the investment in them.
So with tools, so you talk about niching down, right? So let's pretend someone listening, let's say like a realtor, classic realtor, wants to niche down on first-time home buyers.
Yep.
Let's say first-time home buyers. That's his niche. So how could someone reach the mass amount of first-time home buyers possible? Because obviously, the more touches, the better. So how do you like mass produce and go ham on that one?
For me, it's easy. It's advertising, right? It's advertising, and there's you read the book. There's 2 forms of advertising. There's free and there's paid. So social media, whatever you want to call it. There's Google, like whatever. Mm-hmm. So you write blogs, you write posts. There's a bunch of different things. So it's advertising. To answer your question simply, that's it. You advertise, right? Now, how do you do that? Well, you make a whole bunch of content like we're doing today, and then you attract the right people, or you invest in advertising and use paid ads and drive them. But then the next, so let's say that, what's the next problem that creates?
So I think I love where we're going with this, because we talked about clarity.
Yeah.
We talked about connection. We talked about conversion. And on the next episode, I want to talk about capturing.
Okay.
I want to talk about capturing. Now, like, Armando imposed a great question. Like, I have an influx. I have all this audience, right? I have all these first-time home buyers. I have all of these potential customers. I have all these people that need insurance, whatever it is, right? All these people that want to buy my t-shirts. Now, how do I capture them? Let's find out on the following one. And this is going to be the final segment of the series that you guys definitely want to learn and you don't want to miss out. So be on the lookout for that one, and we'll catch you on the next
And if you
episode.
you found us on this one, there's 2 other ones before this, so don't forget about the other 2. But if you want to get straight to the juice, then like Pablo said, just tune in for the next one.
Make sure you guys subscribe as well.